Super Mario Bros. Is the biggest game of the entire gaming industry. But for some reason I don't actually see retrospectives of this game. I usually see a couple new soups get retrospectives as they are the most decisive. But the older 2D Marios? Not much. Yes, I know Nathaniel Bandy made a triggered video, but that's a whole other thing, so shut the fuck up. Anyway, let's get into this game. After the success of Donkey Kong, Nintendo went ahead and made a sort of sequel called Donkey Kong Jr., where Mario, or Jumpman at the time, was the main villain. But during that they didn't really know what Mario was. What Mario is for. So they made a game called Mario Brothers, but don't get that confused with Super Mario Brothers, okay? This game is not bad, as you have to jump below these platforms to knock enemies off. The game did well enough to be one of the first arcade ports to the Famicom in 1983. After its great release, the dev team decided to make a platformer game based on its characters. And so we have Super Mario Bros. Released in 1985. I'll save the cringe-ass memories part at the end, so let's get into the game itself. This is the title screen. There is a 2-player option, but it's just taking turns when the other guy sucks and dies. And it has Luigi, but he doesn't have anything special about him. Like always. But in the main game, the first level is level 1-1, the most iconic level in gaming. It's been referenced in many Mario games, and while a lot of people can get annoyed by the remixed music, it's always in a different type, which I like. This Mario sprite is the most iconic thing in history. You may think the picture of the Earth or a picture of King Louis IV is the most popular picture, but this sprite is probably the most famous. Just the color palette alone makes it recognizable. There is a lives counter in where you can use the point system to gain more lives. The thing about this is that when you lose all your lives, it's so over. So make sure to play as perfectly as possible. There are coins to add more points to your score to help. This game controls pretty well for the time. Running is the same button as the Fire Flower, which makes it a bit longer to run, but not that much. I know it's a nitpick, but it's a bit annoying. The Goombas and Koopas are pretty fun enemies. Although if you're in a small place with walls, it can be a bit tricky to get out of there with the Koopa if they are in their shell form. There are flying Koopas where you can jump on them, but they have a extra hit point. Lakitus are so fucking annoying, like their AI just sucks and you can't avoid them or kill them as they just respawn a few seconds later. And the Spinies can't get killed unless under a block, and it doesn't matter if you can kill it as the Lakitu will just spawn even fucking more. If they made it so that you kill it and they doesn't respawn, it would make things a lot more better. Bloopers are also the worst things ever. Typically found in water stages, they jump at you and they can be annoying to avoid since they move by not moving. But at least you can kill them. There is also cheeps who swim around, which is a bit annoying, but you can fireball them. Also, weird thing to mention, but in water levels, when you pick up a coin, the music starts to kinda glitch out. I know it's a hardware limitation, but it's weird. I'm actually fine with Hammer Bros, as there are ways to counter it by like running away or fighting it with a Fire Flower. Or my favorite is to break the block underneath them. Oh yeah, and the piranha plants are fine. The power-ups Mario used throughout are the Super Mushroom, which is an iconic sprite. But actually, now that I think about it, every single sprite in the game is very iconic. I just realized that as I was writing this, so I might be dumb. Anyway, mushrooms make you grow large if you're small Mario, and if you're already big Mario, then this power-up is useless. Yeah, it's points, but who cares? The Fire Flower is really great as you can fire these balls at enemies, and it does have a sort of limit if you try to spam the B button, but it's still great. The Superstar. Not found in many levels, it has a great theme and it feels great just walking through enemies killing them. Oh yeah. Anyway, now to the types of levels you can find. There are 4. No, I'm not counting the high mushroom platform levels thingy, as it is a obstacle rather than a level, and they share the same skyboxes, so fuck you. The normal blue sky ones make up the majority of the game. And underground levels that take place after a cutscene which shows Mario going down to a pipe. Water levels where Mario can breathe underwater to get through an area with different physics and ways to move around. And finally is the final stages, which take place at the end of a world where you're in Bowser's castle to find the princess. There are also these warp pipes that can transport you to different worlds. I wondered why they added it, since they are preventing you from playing levels that they worked on, but then I remembered that this game didn't have a save feature. Nowadays this game can be beaten in like 2 hours, but it must have been hell in the 80s. These level types are not bad besides the water ones. Yeah, they are pretty annoying, but the underground is my favorite. I just like that theme. And that's where you can access the minus worlds, which is just the level 7-2, but it never ends. And also there is these levels called 7-4 and 8-4, and they are the worst fucking things in my life. You have to go through a specific path which the game or manual does not tell you, and you have to go do it yourself or look up a guide. And there are fireballs in the water stage. There are fireballs in the water stage, like that doesn't make you know whatever. Let's talk about the story. The story in the game is that Bowser has kidnapped the princess of the Mushroom Kingdom and Mario has to get her back. Now let's talk about the final stages. The final stage is mostly similar. You're in Bowser's castle and you have to get through it with Bowser shooting fire at you. To complete it, you either have to use the fire flower to take him out or use that hammer thing. I don't know what it is, but it collapses the bridge, killing him. But what if I told you that is not him? Yeah, every time you kill him with a fire flower you can see that it isn't him. Pretty cool. But after defeating him you save a toad that informs you that the princess is at another castle. Meaning you went to wrong one, fucker. But at the end you'll make it and see that it's the princess and no toads. While her lullaby isn't as good as Zelda's lullaby, she is for some reason pretty short, while in other games she's a bit taller than Mario. Maybe Mario's true form was Small Mario? Anyway, she tells you have a new quest, which is basically replaying the game, but this time you can choose any level you want. Besides the first world, I don't know who else is gonna replay these other levels. It's just okay. Now let's talk about the speedrunning side of this game. The speedrunning side of Mario Brothers is interesting. It's not as big as Mario 64 or Ocarina of Time, but it's still moderately popular. The world record is 4 minutes 54 seconds and 631 milliseconds set by Niftsky. I don't see how it's gonna get beat, since I'm pretty sure it's the highest you could do, but it's still fascinating. Anyway, now let's end this. Super Mario Bros. Is revolutionary. That's nothing new, everybody knows this game is important to this industry. But the fact that it's what made Nintendo and gaming, which was basically dead by that point, to take off is astounding. So please realize that without this game you wouldn't have Fortnite. And many other amazing games as well. Without this game I might be dead, and I'm sure you can relate if you're watching this. And with the latest installment, Super Mario Wonder, it's definitely amazing. See how far they went from the 80s to the present time. Before you play Wonder, you should, in my opinion, play this game just to see how far we come. How far these games went and how big companies are because of this game. Without this franchise, humanity would actually have crumbled before the Cold War ended. Okay, maybe that's a bit too far, but you know what I mean. People are tired of Nintendo referencing this game and its music, and I understand it, but it is the game that made Nintendo Nintendo. Even though people hate listening to that damn 1-1 music over and over, I'll still be here, listening to it over and over and over.